leaders under 40 years of age. Plus was awarded the Thomas Merton Award, Miss Woman of the Year Award, and the Reebok Human Rights Award. The White Earth Land Recovery Project has also won many awards, including the prestigious 2003 International Slow Food Award for Biodiversity. Winona LaDuke is a graduate of Harvard and Antioch Universities. LaDuke has written extensively on Native American environmental issues. She also serves on several boards and has authored 5 books, including Recovering the Sacred, All of Our Relations, and Last Standing Woman. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Winona LaDuke.
I mean, super loud. I mean, into I'm going to call my relatives, basically, and usually it's not going to be a body talk, is kind of English language. Thanks all for the honor of being here with you. I'm from about 4 hours south of here. It took me a lot longer to get here though. I'm honored to be here. I really wanted to come and be with my relatives from the north. Because we are all water protectors. We're all water protectors. I'm a water protector. And so I'm going to talk about that and that construct in this moment we have in time where in our prophecies as Anishinaabe people, we're told that this time of the seventh fire, we have a choice between 2 paths. They say one path is well-worn, but it is scorched. And the other path is not well-worn, and it is green. And it is our choice upon which path to embark. I'm pretty sure that that's not just about Anishinaabe people. I'm pretty sure that's about Canada. I'm pretty sure that that's about the United States. I'm pretty sure about that it's this moment in time when we have to summon up our strongest spiritual selves to be water protectors, to be those who look out for those who are not yet here. So I'm going to tell you a little bit of our story, and this is an art. This is in downtown Duluth. This is a water protector. And a lot of us come from families who have been impacted, our women stolen and murdered. I have those in my family too. I think there's very few families that have not had that loss. And, we're often invisible. Women of color, Native women aren't really regarded highly in these northern towns, the deep north. As we know them, the deep north. I live in the deep north, have my whole life. But here, this woman is not disappearing anytime soon. She's about 30 feet tall and 20 feet wide. And she's in downtown Duluth over top of the ICO building, American Indian Community Health Organization. And the artist is named Wotan. So I honor water protectors. Some art by Christy Belcourt. You all know Christy, I'm sure, but I want to just talk a little bit about Name Wag, the sturgeon. In our territory, as in most of yours, the sturgeon were once in abundance. What we know is that our sturgeon is like the buffalo of our region. In the wintertime, if you want to survive, it is a good thing to eat sturgeon. They say about 700 calories in a sturgeon serving is compared to about 300 or 400 in a walleye or northern. What do you need in the winter? Sturgeon. You need the wealth that gift, Those sturgeon are old, 250 million years old, but there are people. We have Nene clan in our territory, Nene clan, Dodam. And ours were wiped out on the White Earth Reservation by dam projects. Dams stole our sturgeon. The hydro dams of our region stole our sturgeon, and then overfishing by white people, colonialism, stole our sturgeon. But in the 1940s, there were no sturgeon in my territory. There was no sturgeon. And then one day I went to Manitou Rapids to go see Al Hunter. Some of you may know Al Hunter. I went to see him go for drum ceremony there. And he said, "You got to meet my brother, Joe Hunter." He runs a sturgeon hatchery here in Manitou Rapids. He runs a sturgeon hatchery, that First Nation. So I went over to see Joe Hunter, and he said, they call him the Sturgeon General. So I saw those sturgeon that he had there, and they were in there reproducing. I don't really know how sex works with sturgeon, but it was large females, and they were in there, and they were super docile, and I could pet them. You don't want to pet a northern. You know what I'm saying? But you could pet a sturgeon from the back of northern York. I was just entranced. And I said, Joe, can I bring some home? He said, yeah. So I came back the next week with an Aerostar van and 4 little native kids across that border. Had 2 Coleman coolers and some bubbly thing I hooked up to my car lighter, and I brought 5 sturgeon back across the border to my reserve. Those sturgeon, I asked Joe what do I say when I hit customs? He said, just say they're your pets. So I brought those sturgeon home and I put them in our lake. So I did, I put them in our lake. And then I went to talk to my tribal fisheries department. They were so that was the sequence. We did it and then we talked. And this is like conversation with my tribal fisheries director, and it's like, Winona, do you have any idea of how many laws you violated? Right? International Transport of Endangered Species, you like this long list. I said, Randy, his name is Randy Zorman. I said, Randy, there's the white man's laws and there's the creator's laws. Those are 2 different things. These sturgeon don't know a boundary. This is the same sturgeon that belong here and they need to come home. Our people miss our relatives. We have sturgeon clan in our village. We have sturgeon clan and they have no relatives. They have no relatives. That, we all understand what historic trauma is. And so we brought them home, and today my tribe has the largest sturgeon restoration program in the region. We have sturgeon on my reservation in great abundance. And some of them probably try to come back up to Lake of the Woods. I don't know how far they got tagged up because they cruise around with those sturgeon. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud that we could bring somebody home. And my first grandchild was born 15 years ago. You know what clan that grandchild was? It was sturgeon clan. I never understand how things are, but I just understand that you should pray and do your best. Pray and do your best. That's my story. And so we did not bring these sturgeon back so that they could be affected by some new Wendigo mega project. We did not bring them home so that they could be destroyed by hemorrhage. We did not do that. And so in my commitment to those sturgeon, we continue our battles. This is art, This is from Ray Thomas, he's deceased. But I always like this art because it's called We Are All on the Same Boat. And we are. No matter where we come from, we have common shared history, water, stories, relatives. And we are today in different places, but very much facing the same challenges and opportunities. So this is rice from our territory, our sacred food, our most sacred food, and feeds our bodies and feeds our souls. I like to talk about, in the United States, they talk about making America great again. And I think of when it was great in North America, and I think about the 8,000 varieties of corn indigenous people developed. That's when it was great here. Tremendous agro-biodiversity in all ways. And those corn varieties, the furthest north varieties are here in Manitoba. White Flint, Manitoba corn. The Ojibwe people pushed corn about 100 miles north of anybody else in the world. That's some thinking. That's some ability to adapt. That's some plants that you are in love with. That's a relationship that is valued and is who we are. Because corn doesn't exist in nature. It exists as teosinte. It's a grass. So all of those varieties of corn were developed by indigenous people. A lot of them by indigenous women, because we are who collects the seeds and harvests the crops, and we know how they cook, and we know how they store. And so we are those. So that's when it was great. And it was great when we had 50 million buffalo. And you could drink the water from every lake and river. Sturgeon were in abundance, and the skies were blackened with the birds that would travel. We all remember this. I think about it because Canadians and Americans suffer from historic amnesia. They don't want to remember anything, and they don't. They're transient. They keep moving, know neither a history of the land or the people. But we remember. We remember this history. We remember the beauty of our ancestors, the beauty of our relatives. And we also remember our water. You know, we remember when there were fish there, or when there was rice there. We remember that. And that is important that we never forget that. So this is what colonialism looks like in Canada. And you all know it. You know, Canada has an economic plan, which is not an economic plan for survival. Canada's economy is based on constant extraction, destruction, taking more than you need and not leaving the rest, having no plan that can be actualized without action. You know, you cannot talk about climate change and expect that you will grow the tar sands. You know, that is, I spent 7 years fighting Enbridge, 7 years. And some days I say to Al Monaco, I say, you grow your food with oil. I'm gonna grow mine with water. We'll see how that works out, right? And we resist. This is a dam project in my territory on the Lakota Reservation. You know, we are the same as you up here. Half of our land is water. A lot of that is dammed. A lot of that is dammed. So this is our challenge that we face. Some of you are impacted by oil pipelines. Some of you are impacted by dam projects. We all live in this insanity of North America with this crazy level of addiction to fossil fuels, an insane level of addiction. And in that level of addiction, you know, what you have is more and more bad behavior. I don't know if any of you live with addicts, but I have addicts in my family and they're drag. You know, they rationalize their behavior, it's always your fault. You know, you made me drink. You made me drink. You made me do that, right? And that is what it is like being a fossil fuel addict. You know, the United States consumes more power than anybody per capita, more fossil fuels than anybody per capita except for Canada. You know, no plan, endless levels of consumption, resulting in increasingly bad behavior. What that means is that oil isn't easy to get anymore. So you gotta do stuff like the tar sands or fracking to get it. You know, there's no gold nuggets or copper nuggets left on the shore of Lake Superior. You have to come up with extreme mining projects, like the Ring of Fire, where you destroy an entire ecosystem for a few little nuggets. You know, makes no sense, this set of practices. I call it Wendigo economics, the economics of a Wendigo. Our people, however, have a long history of killing Wendigos. It is our time to join others that are monster slayers in this time and age, because that is how you survive, is you have to slay the monster. And so for 7 years, the Anishinaabe of Minnesota have been facing the barrel of Enbridge's Line 3. And as you know, they don't have a pipeline in Minnesota. They don't have a pipeline in Minnesota, and they will never have a pipeline in Minnesota. They have 6 old pipes. My position is 6 is enough. That's good. Should be happy. Should be happy that you have 6 pipes, and you should come up with a plan to make them safe, and then you should come up with a plan to get them out of there, because they cross our territory. And for 50 years, you've been leaking oil into the Leech Lake Reservation, into the Fond du Lac Reservation, and into our water ice. You know, and the people that were forced into those agreements 50 years ago are not the people that are here now. We are not those people. You know, our ancestors and us, we know what is at stake. So in every regulatory process, we have faced them. We have faced them, and no agency in Minnesota, the Department of Natural Resources, the administrative law judge who heard 68,000 pieces of testimony, no agency recommended issuing the permits for Enbridge's Line 3, except on June 28th of 2018, the Public Utilities Commission, after $11 million of Enbridge's dirty money, issued the permits for Line 3. And then we all sued them, including the state of Minnesota has sued the Enbridge and sued the Public Utilities Commission, because no one, in the time that we are now of climate change, in the time that we are now where the tar sands is dying, it is dying. How do I know that? Because it is 10% less production in the tar sands. I know that because the Koch brothers, those evil guys from the United States, largest holders of tar sands assets, sold their tar sands assets about 2 months ago. About a week before David Koch died. Rest in peace, probably choked on his greed. But their losses were great when they sold those assets because in a time of climate catastrophe, the tar sands is the dirtiest oil in the world. It's at $82 a barrel, and that's without a pipeline. And they say that Enbridge's Line 3, if they are ever allowed to commission it, will increase tar sands production by 10%. And that is 10% that we don't need. So that's why I stand here in front of you and in front of Canada and say we are water protectors. And northern Minnesota is not North Dakota. Nobody in Minnesota wants this pipeline except for Enbridge and their friends. And Enbridge has been really, really, really busy making hatred in the north. You know, in a place that is already like on the edge. Every native person knows what it is like to live in the deep north. We know how they look at us when we go into restaurants. We know exactly what it is like. This is our only experience. And you know, in Minnesota, we kind of like had it okay. You know, things are going a little bit better. Some Indian hating, few lawsuits against Indian people for fishing. But they're Enbridge. You know, in the north now, they are creating more racism, more hatred. And they're financing it. And that is wrong. No Canadian corporation has the right to change civil society in the country. No Canadian corporation has those rights. And this is what their money looks like. We fought Enbridge for 3 years on a pipeline known as the Sandpiper. In 2016, Enbridge's second pipeline project failed. The first was the Northern Gateway. Never received approval of the National Energy Board. The second one was the Sandpiper, a fracked oil pipeline they intended to bring across our territory in the Minnesota Wyoming Reservation. We stood against them in every regulatory hearing and forced a court EIS, environmental impact statement, on that pipeline, at which point Enbridge announced August 2nd of 2016 that they would not continue with the Sandpiper. They canceled the pipeline. So I say that to you, I stand in front of you as someone from a community of thousands of people who stood against Enbridge and defeated them. It is possible to stop a pipeline project. And they have lost 2 projects. They really want Line 3. Equally, we oppose it. So when Enbridge canceled the Sandpiper, they moved to North Dakota. And this is what Enbridge looks like in North Dakota. Enbridge financed 28% of the Dakota Access Pipeline that went through Seattle Rock. And to just give you a clear picture, which every native person here understands perfectly, the original pipeline proposal of the Dakota Access Pipeline was intended to cross north of the city of Bismarck, 95% white. But rather than risk the water supply of the city of Bismarck, the corporation moved it just north of the water intake valves of the Standing Rock Reservation. You know? And so this woman is what a water protector looks like. This is what it looks like when you stand up against Enbridge. This is what it looks like when they bring out $38 million worth of military equipment to shoot you. Rubber bullets, beanbags, all kinds of, who knows what they sprayed on us. Who knows? Immense brutality, 800 arrests, hundreds of injuries. So I hold Enbridge responsible for 28% of that. That's them. They did it. They did it. And they have never accounted for it. They have never accounted for the brutality. And this is, at the same time, emblematic, and you know it. It is emblematic of corporations owning the government. You know, I mean, not that Canada wasn't a corporation to start with. But let us be honest. Let us be honest. The rights of human beings are far below the rights of corporations in these countries. And I'm one. You know, in the United States, a corporation is considered to have the same rights as a human. They're considered natural persons under the law. And what I know is what y'all know, which is a corporation is not a human. A corporation is a legal fiction. And a corporation, the difference between a corporation and a human is that a human has a soul. A corporation does not have a soul. They should not have rights that are equal to any humans, let alone to any of our water. This, of course, is one of my favorite pictures out of Standing Rock. I believe that when you're facing a large line of police, you should stand on your horse. I just love these guys, you know? But there's this moment in time, and I remember as a young woman, I had the privilege of being with sitting at the feet of many great leaders, you know, or listening to them. And I remember it was like Matthew, King, and Frank Foolsgrove, two Oglala Lakota chiefs. I was a young woman, and I was sitting there, and I don't know how I got to be in this small venue with them, but Matthew King said something which I never forgot. He said, "The only thing sadder than an Indian who is not free is an Indian who doesn't remember what it is like to be free." In that moment, those young men remembered exactly what it was like to be free. We must always remember what is freedom. You know, and in my community, the freest and happiest Native man is out harvesting wild rice. Maybe making maple sugar, maple syrup, maybe fishing. I set my net 2 days ago. I set my net. You know, Indigenous people in my family is happy we are Indigenous, not forced into someone else's world. But this is this moment when you find your courage. I don't know why his slides are yet. You should need to get a bit further. So, I want to talk about the solutions. I spent most of my life, I'm 6 years old, I spent most of my life fighting stupid ideas from white men. Let's just be honest. We could say a lot of other things, but the fact is that the white male patriarchy has created quite a mess. There's no parenting skills there. Nobody told those guys no. There's just this assumption I can do whatever I want, and some kind of entitlement. We can call it colonialism or neo-colonialism, we can call it whatever. But you know, I've spent my whole life stopping stupid ideas. Stopping stupid ideas. And you know, one day, it'd be great to not have another stupid idea show up, right? You know, I just feel like that is this time, the time of the seventh fire, when you make a choice. So in making that choice, we call it, I think it is essential, I know it is essential, that we articulate where we're going in our vision. Because if you let them either create the narrative or make the plan, you will be disappointed. You'll be disappointed. And we talk about, self-determination and sovereignty. And everybody here knows that what we need is, I heard Sugar Bear Smith say it, you can't say you're sovereign if you can't feed yourselves. What is the basis of food sovereignty, of energy sovereignty, of security? What is the basis of hope? How do we feel that we have control over our destiny? That is a question asked in every Indigenous community. What is it going to be like 50 years from now here? Maybe 30 years from now, what's it going to be like? Where will our water come from? Where will our food come from? Will we be coherent thinkers? Will we be coherent? Where will our energy come from? Who will make our decisions? Will we be first-class citizens or third-class citizens? Right? Those are those questions. So we decided we would work on those answers. In the United States, they refer to this as the Green New Deal. I call this the Sitting Bull Plan. I call it the Sitting Bull Plan because he was a great political leader of the Lakota people, and he said many things, but he said, let us put our minds together to see what kind of future we can make for our children. Let us put our minds together to see what kind of future we can make for our children. And I say that because the future needs all of us to do our part. Not to expect someone is going to do it for you. There's no fairy going to fix it. There's no fairy. There's no social change fairy. There's no carbon sequestration fairy. There's no nuclear waste fairy. There's no fairy. There's no fairy godmother. There's us doing that. And that vision, founded on a spiritual commitment, is how you make change. So, You know, I think it's called the LEAP Manifesto here, right? This is our, you know, we have champions because we got out the vote. And we voted people in office who had vision and did not represent the old boys network. I suggest we do the same everywhere. We've had enough. If you want vision, you've got to elect it. You got to get out the vote. You got to run for office. But more than that, you got to just do it. You got to just do it. So this is us in my community. I live on the White Earth Reservation, North Minnesota. We are, you know, probably about the same temperature as you most of the time. I live straight down on 59, right? And so it's cold as hell in the winter, that fair? But it's usually sunny. So my community faces fuel poverty, so do yours. You know, in the old days, we chopped wood, right? And then we moved into these HUD or CMHC houses that are on propane. And we're trying to figure out how we're going to pay those bills down where we live, you know. And all I know is that that just, you know, further complicates your world. And then add to that, a lot of you probably don't have a power grid going to your communities, but what I know is what you know is that the grid goes down in climate change. The grid will go down. So if you want to not freeze, and you want to have some security, you need to go local in your energy. That's what you need to do. We all need to do it. You know, that's what sovereignty looks like, and that's what some shot at survival frankly looks like. So in my community, we started putting on these solar thermal panels on our houses. South-facing wall, 8x4 panel. It's black, it's like a little box. And it gets hot inside. The thermostat hits 90 and it turns on a blower fan and blows hot air in your house. Saves about 20% of your heating bill. That's like not a bad gig, right? It's not fancy. It's really easy. It's really simple. So we started, this was us putting them up in our housing project, right? That's what they look like. Put up a couple, you could probably even save more on your heat. We just put up 2 yesterday. We put them up for 5 or 6 years. And then my reservation, my organization, we purchased that technology. And now we build them. 8 Fire Solar. We sell them. We just started selling. Our first big order went out to North Dakota, to the Fort Berthold Reservation. Mandan, Hidatsa, Ricker people. We sell them anywhere. We could sell them, we could just throw them on a train and send them up to you. Literally. The train runs right next to our office. You know, the Sioux Line, is that what it's called? The Sioux Line. That goes north here to Winnipeg. That's what we build. This is what we're called, 8 Fire Solar. This is about a community saying, well, we can freeze and be fearful, or we can make something. 7 people employed in our little solar thermal panel manufacturing facility. And we're installing. That's my team, or some of them. The potential, you know, someone should give me some maps that are like this up in north in Canada. Just putting that request out there. This is reserves and wind generation potential. You know, I seen a guy last night from the Blood Reserve in Alberta. He's like, windy. I said, yep, I bet you are. You know, the prairies are pretty windy, pretty full of solar. You know, there's no reason that we should have fossil fuels out here. What there is every reason to have wind for our tribes, wind and solar. You know, but the vision and the leadership needs to really be indigenous. It needs to be indigenous, and we need to not be on the team. You know, I heard it said once that you're either at the table or you're on the menu. You're either at the table or you're on the menu. I think we've been on the menu a pretty long time. We need to be at the table, and we need to set the table with indigenous foods. You know, we cannot be letting them set the table all the time. You know, that is us. And so in North Dakota, for instance, that state that's making deals with the devil, kind of like the Alberta of the North here, you know, they have vast solar potential, but the first solar farm went up. The first solar farm went up on the Standing Rock Reservation this summer. No vision from North Dakota, all vision from Standing Rock. Okay? So that's what I'm saying is don't wait. Move ahead. If you want to, you know, have a shot. They got a battle ahead of them, but who would not expect a battle in North Dakota? Right? You would expect that they would be jerks. Let's just be honest, at the North. So, this is another idea I just share with you. It's called solutionary rail. It's a really interesting idea. What solutionary rail does is it's a proposal to electrify the rail lines. Nationally in the United States, you should do the same here in Canada. North America, you know, particularly the United States has a rail system that would be like an embarrassment to Bulgaria. You know, we have for a first world country, shameful rail system, shameful. And we all know how that happened. That happened because of, you know, the car companies and the fossil fuel companies and the, you know, tire companies running a big scam, basically, and moving us off of rails. Well, what if we hit the reset button and decided to rebuild the backbone based on rails? And what if we took those rails and electrified them? Now, it turns out that, you know, it's really kind of a physics question. Let me just give you this example. A car with a combustion engine. Most of us drove here one of those. I got here one. A car with a combustion engine. A combustion engine is 16% efficient. Between the oil that you got sucked out of the tar sands by the time you put it in your car, each gear that moves in that car reduces the efficiency of that engine. Y'all follow me on this? Kind of like the drivetrain, everything reduces the efficiency until it's 16% efficient. You know how efficient an electric engine is? 65% efficient. 65% efficient. So what kind of dumb world, society would hang around with a 16% efficient vehicle, right? Mode of transportation when you could be 65% efficient. It's just dumb. And then what about if you did something like, what do you think is more efficient? Running rubber on the road or metal on metal? Well, of course, a train is a far more efficient way to move goods than freight on the road. And if you electrify that train and go to a direct current, you're about 95% efficient. So what if we generated power that made sense? And if we generated it and it had to do with justice, it had to do with need, and it had to do with respect. That's what we want. So this is a method. This is what it looks like. Almost every reserve has a train going through it in the States. But just add to that the fact that what this line does here in this vision is you collect the power along the line from renewable energy, and it runs in the electrical wires above the train. So you use the train and the corridor that already exists from infrastructure that was already built upon our people to move and distribute renewable energy. That's what that vision is. That's the kind of vision, you know, Canada needs a structural adjustment in its economy. Its economy is ransacking the world between the tar sands and the 75% of the mining corporations in the world that are Canadian. Canada is a disaster. It's a window. You know, people in the United States talk about Trump and his wall, and he wants to build between Mexico and the United States. I said, build a wall between us and Canada. Build that wall. You know, I love y'all, but I hate your countries. I hate it. Every problem I face in Minnesota is a Canadian multinational corporation. You know, so what I'm saying is that my problems start here, because Canada does not have a better plan, and Canada needs to get a plan. This is part of that plan. And look at that. Like, how backwards could you be? Canada's probably right there with us on the 1% of electrified trains. So if you have like super efficient everywhere else in the world, and then the dummies in North America, right? That's my point. You know, a technological solution does not solve everything. It doesn't, it's just that it's a piece of the picture of how you make technology that is appropriate. It's like dams. You know, scale matters. Low head hydro has an entirely different impact than a mega dam. You know, every choice in technology has an implication. And what we want is appropriate choices in technology, and we want to make them. And this is what solar looks like. A lot of you know Winona. LaDuke, her master's thesis was on putting up this project in the middle of her village, Little Buffalo, in the middle of the tar sands. 20 kilowatts of solar to power her health clinic, which she did. She did that a few years ago. That was her master's thesis. And this is our project on White Earth. 20 kilowatts of solar to power our tribal school. That, you know, basically full of, you know, it's just the only way you're going to solve it is to do it yourself. We did. And this is what happens when you go big. This is the Navajo Nation's first utility scale solar project. 27 megawatts. Big project. Huge potential. So that's what happens when you put yourself at the table, not on the menu. You begin to make decisions, and then you have to build the technical infrastructure in your nation so that you power it, you staff it, you plan it, right? That's the training that we need. Because I'm not a solar engineer. But I know that we need, if you want to transform Canada or transform the United States or transform our First Nations, you need to have intellectual and technical ability to do that, and you need to grow that, you know, in your institutions, right? And then you make things beautiful. This is one of our housing projects. I just like to put this up here because my housing project could be your housing project. And you know, they can be kind of dismal. So we decided to paint them. High Point housing project. 7 houses painted. Good enough? Be beautiful. Don't sit around and look at ugly stuff. Let's make beautiful things. We've got the most beautiful art in the world. Let us see it everywhere, right? Let us live with it. Minubamata Ziwan, the good life, the good life. Nishishin, to be beautiful. I mean, I just think of, you know, in the ugliness that surrounds us, you know, the antidote is to be beautiful, to make that beautiful. This is our wild rice. My tribe, my First Nation, December of last year, passed the rights of wild rice as a part of our tribal regulatory authority. And I say that because in a world of North America, the United States and Canada, where the rights of corporations supersede the rights of individuals, on a worldwide scale, what we know is that the rights of a river should supersede the rights of a corporation. The rights of wild rice pre-exist. And this is modeled on Evo Morales and the work of the Bolivian government, the first indigenous president of a nation. Evo Morales, I think, the second actually after Hugo Chavez in Venezuela. But what they enshrine the rights of Mother Earth in their constitution. And I say this to you because, you know, as an enrolled tribal member of a First Nation in the United States, there's a lot of boxes that they put around you. There's a lot of boxes on what you can do and what you can't do in a paradigm of this is the way the law is. Well, the law is wrong. The law is wrong. The fact is that wild rice precedes the United States and Canada. And it has a right to exist in perpetuity because that is our covenant, our agreement with the Creator and our agreement with the wild rice. And so our tribe has passed this rights of wild rice. It's a part of our tribal regulatory authority. Last month, the Yurok Nation in what's known as California passed the rights of a river, recognizing the rights of the Klamath River. In Aotearoa, New Zealand, the rights of a river, the rights of a mountain have also been recognized. The law is changing, but the law must change, and we must change it. And sometimes it may not be the laws of the United States or Canada that changes, but it is our laws. Because our laws do not need to be a replica of a dysfunctional legal system based on the church, or patriarchy, or the condemnation of us as people. Our legal institutions should reflect who we are as a Anishinaabe people. Who we are, because that is the only way that we are healthy, is when we are not forced to be some kind of a multiple personality schizophrenic where we pretend that what they say makes sense. Because it does not. I know it does not. Our animals have as much rights. In our covenant and our understanding, we know that we have an agreement to take care of those beings, and we are not greater than them. So, since I've squashed, you guys grow this here. I'm so proud every time I go someplace and see our cool squash. But, local food, grow your own. Remember that our indigenous food systems contain, not only food for the belly, but food for the spirit. That our indigenous foods are by and large much higher in every nutritional value than anything you're going to buy at northern stores. Take that as a guarantee. Whether it is, your wild rice or your fish, or whether it is what you garden, and that is really the future, is an immense amount of gardening. If you want to eat, you better grow food. And I know that y'all got like all kinds of half underground greenhouses heated with all kinds of cool stuff up here, so you just keep doing that. I grew this outside this year, and this is called Gete Okosman. Really old squash from our territory. Has like twice the protein, half the calories, really high in different amino acids and magnesium. Magical food. Magical food. But the thing about growing a squash is that a squash is a low carbon food. I don't really know how to explain that, but if you look at that squash, its storage system is contained within its storage system. You all understand what I'm saying? Like, you don't gotta freeze it. You don't gotta can it. You don't gotta cook it. You just gotta leave it there. And you put it up high in your house. Mine will last a whole year. Grow a lot of squash. Grow winter squash, like these. And save them, and then you can eat. You'll have food. That's what you need to do. The squash is also about possibility, because inside each of those squashes is about 1,600 seeds. And to me, that is like, that plant want to be here. Want to have more babies and more squash. So think about how these relatives teach us. We don't just have relatives that have hands, we have relatives that have wings and roots, paws and fins. And these teach us about hope, about commitment, about regeneration, about possibility. In my neck of the woods, there's a couple lakes the rice was wiped out by dam projects, wiped out. Onamia Lake and Ogeechee Lake, 2 lakes. It was really for cottagers, is that what you call them? People that go to their summer cabins and want the water levels right for their boats, so they flooded our rice out. We tried for many years to get that changed. Racism in the state of Minnesota did not change that. And then finally we got a little bit of movement, and then there was a drought. And so you know what came back? Our rice. Our Winona came back. In one lake it was 17 years. Those seeds remained dormant, 17 years. In another lake it was 50 years. So what does that tell you about hope? About love? About commitment? About resilience? About possibility? Count on your seeds. Love them. Treat them well. They feed you. And then grow hemp. That's my answer to everything right now. I'm a hemp farmer. I cannot grow anything with THC in it. I can't. I don't. I've been growing hemp in Minnesota for 4 years under a state permit. I grew it for a couple of years, and then they had a backwoods moment and quit growing. We'll just call it that. But I'm interested in fiber hemp, and I'm interested in Manitoba because you're the second largest hemp producing province in Canada. But I'm interested in fiber hemp because I want to transform the materials economy. That's what I want to do. And I didn't bring my cool little hemp thing, but. So, the hemp, let's just use the word cannabis. I'm always told to use the word hemp because it doesn't sound like I'm growing marijuana. But I'm just going to say cannabis. And we'll understand that's what the plant is called. One old plant, not from here, but a good plant. Now it turns out that cannabis, significant use in North America until the 1930s. They said well over half the clothing. You know, let's just think of it this way. The word canvas comes from canvas. So how many tarps or how many sails or how many canoes or, right? It was all cannabis. It was all cannabis. And then the conspiracy of, it was actually Levi Strauss and the fossil fuels industry. I mean, Henry Ford made a car out of hemp. They powered cars on hemp oil. I heard a farmer say that in the 1930s in the United States, there was a choice made. And the choice was between a hydrocarbon economy and a carbohydrate economy. A choice between a hydrocarbon economy and a carbohydrate economy. Isn't that interesting? The words are so close. The carbohydrate economy was hemp. The hydrocarbon economy is Suncor. Bad choice was made. Bad choice was made. The consequences of it is what we're dealing with today. So I'm saying let us redo. And so today I'm wearing my fossil fuels outfit, pretty much. Y'all know what I'm saying. I'm wearing some cotton blends with a lot of polyester. Everything I'm wearing is made from fossil fuels. I've succeeded today in slathering it out hot myself. But the fact is that I don't need to do that. And the fact is that that's a really bad idea. So take even cotton. Cotton is about 5,000 gallons of water for a t-shirt and jeans. In a world that doesn't have water to use like that. 5,000 gallons of water for a t-shirt and jeans. And then add to the fact that cotton takes 24% of the world's agricultural chemicals on 4% of the world's agriculture. So how bad is that idea? It's getting worse by the minute, right? And then you add to that everything else we're wearing came from Suncor, basically. Or maybe, I don't know, imperial oil. Doesn't really matter. What matters is that we need to return to we need to create and return to a pre- and post-petroleum textile economy. That's why I grow hemp. So I grow fiber hemp. This is the fiber hemp. This is last year's harvest. This is some of my team. Looks like bamboo. Pretty cool, huh? That's Futura variety. Just south of Highway 59, you can see that variety. And I had to figure out how to decorticate it. Kind of trying to figure out, nobody wants to do that because everybody just wants to make a lot of money on CBDs and recreational marijuana. Everybody wants to make a killing on that. You know, make a whole bunch of money on that. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in changing the world. And how you change the world is change the materials economy in this world. That's what we need to do. And you could do that with hemp. You could do anything. Really, you could pretty much do anything. You can make a car out of it. I already said that. You can even make houses out of it, hempcrete. And you can make an entire textile economy out of this. I think my rope is in my suitcase, but I have some hemp rope. That's this year's harvest. The Winona's Hemp and Heritage Farm. Right? I got it decorticated from China. I created fiber. Now what I'm trying to figure out is how to degum it. Because the industry was destroyed in North America, it's like a forensic research project to try to figure out who is doing this. The only place you can buy hemp in the world now there's two countries that sell hemp pretty much, which is China and Romania. Most things actually we wear come from China, right? And so I want a North American hemp textile economy. I want it local. Minnesota used to have 11 hemp mills. Until the 1940s, we had 11 hemp mills in Minnesota. I don't know how many there were in Manitoba. But the question is how we reroute those. with the level of technology that is appropriate, that is environmentally and socially ethical, doesn't involve slaves, doesn't involve a lot of toxic chemicals, and hemp does not require any chemicals to grow. It grows like weed. It really grows like weed. So, this is a little bit of the difference, right? It can grow, you could quit clear cutting your forests in Canada for toilet paper if you used hemp. Right? Wouldn't that be awesome? It's a shameful practice. Have faith, have hope, we're seeds. They tried to bury us, they didn't know they were seeds. So to me, that is what we are doing 4 hours south of you on the White Earth Reservation. Solar, wind, local food, and hemp. Come visit. The next economy is not about competition. The next economy is about cooperation. If we want to survive, we have to work together. When we figure out how to build a hemp mill, you don't need one hemp mill. That's not going to change the world. You need 50 of them. And you need these First Nations who have the ability to grow hemp to grow. It's a plant that bioremediates. It's a plant that can do a lot. But do it as a practice. I've been farming for most of my adult life. And the plant is not a slave. Don't turn a plant into a slave. Don't treat it like a commodity. Treat it with love. And you will do much better. That's my counsel on that. And then, this summer, come join us. If Enbridge somehow dodges the bullet of the courts and the regulatory process in Minnesota and proceeds with its Line 3, we will be there by the thousands. It will not look like Standing Rock because there is 300 miles of pipe that has not been built. We'll be there wherever they want to start moving, and we'll be there in large numbers. We'll be all colors. This is not a native struggle. If you have a shot to keep the tar sands in the ground, you're going to take it. That's us. If you got a shot to protect your water, you're going to take it. Now is the time. There's that actress who just won an Emmy for Miss Maisie. I don't know if you saw that. But what she said is she talked about that her grandmother was in the Holocaust. And they were lining people up to go get shot in front of a pit. She said they were just walking to get shot and their bodies dropped in a pit. And her grandmother looked at the guard who had a gun and said, if I step out of the line, are you going to shoot me? They said, I don't have the heart to, but someone will. So her grandmother stepped out of the line. And that's why that woman is still here. So that's what I say to y'all, step out of line. Step out of line. If we want to survive, you gotta step out of line. And in that, remember who we are. Because we are beautiful. Our ancestors left us great legacy. And we have the responsibility to do the same for our descendants. To be ancestors that they are grateful to. And in this moment in time, that's when we make the change. We despair at what has happened to our water. But I always remember this. This is Emoto. Have you ever heard of that guy, Mr. Emoto? Mr. Emoto, I forget his first name. But he's a Japanese physicist or chemist. And he studies water crystals because water is alive. It is sacred. It is a being. So, here's 2 crystals. One is hurt and damaged by the dam, or maybe by something toxic, And then they prayed, and that's what that same crystal looked like. What I know is that, a great spirit is a great being, and that we are spiritual beings. So be prayerful, grateful, courageous. Be water protectors. much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Sorry, it's all. I'm Jonathan Easton. Just wanted to give you I've had the pleasure of knowing Winona for a few years, and I always asked her to come up here, and it's always been a delight every time. So I know that many of you are probably hungry and thirsty, and so I just wanted to kick off that lunch will be served in Riddell Hall, so right where we were for breakfast this morning. And yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone, the panelists that were here this morning, those that are representing Winona